Rakdos has returned to the Tainted Grail, picking up where we left off with our true Necromancer guide. After beating the first area, we pop back up in town, and we have a couple decisions to make. I'm just reading through my quests because some of them confuse me. But right now, we want to secure our power. We're trying to remove as many cards from our deck as possible. Take a couple passives if we have the ability to, if your village is progressed far enough. Make sure we have the right items, and primarily use the blacksmith as many times as you can during your run to switch around your rune stones and make your rune build as strong as possible. As you can see, I decided to spend the first 100 gold to unlock one of the talents with the seamstress. Always worth it for the first talent. 100 gold for a talent is an absolute steal. If you have that ability, unlock it. If not, don't worry about it. You don't need that power to make this work at all. This works on any difficulty, I would imagine, with any village structure. We're taking the opportunity to start removing these barriers. Like I said, we want a very thin deck. We want to consistently draw the same opening hands or very similar opening hands. We're essentially trying to build a combo deck. Hitting up the blacksmith here, I think we're going to use most of our money. We got to get rid of this thorn. We're really trying for a specific rune here. Gur is not it. We don't hit it first try. I'll read through Gur. Doesn't seem like it's going to help us, so we exchange it. I must really be contemplating whether or not we can use this. Oh, are we just using it? Oh my gosh. Well, that does kind of shock me. I guess it protects us a little bit. Let's see what here we go. I think this reminded me of this path. Yes, there was already a year in the shop, and I'm like, oh, derp. This thing is incredible for the Necromancer. I immediately swap. I'm like, yeah, no, it's definitely this. Duplicates the 4th card played every turn. I was talking about this in the last video. If you can shoot for this rune, it amplifies your potency so much, especially on turn 1, which is really where we're going to try to get all of our juicy damage. With the remaining money, I juke back and forth like a madman and decide to go to the second area. Now, I think we get Deadly Lust in like the first fight here, unless we already have Deadly Lust. But either way, this area is going to go a lot faster. Our damage really comes online here. Except these jerks that are ethereal with the barrier are kind of an issue until our damage fully comes online. So I think this fight is a little tough. Yep, establish our... Now, check out what I did there. I specifically counted how many spells I was playing and played the Abomination card as the 4th so that it would duplicate. Then I was able to use a great power compression, sacrificed all of them, got my full special meter, was able to lich in this very same turn. This is all turn 1. Getting my duplicate off, I think I just played. I didn't get lucky enough to get power steal, I don't think. No, I've already duplicated power steal. Yeah. Yep, I'm looking at my damage now. And then I was able to double cast Energy Wave because the rune does not care if I'm a lich. The rune is still going to duplicate every 4th spell I play, no matter what. So that's how much damage I was able to output on turn 1. Even with a very tough matchup, we still are more than potent, I would say. Throw out the golem for a little bit of protection. We won't need to do that for much longer. Now you can really see the usefulness of cards like Dark Rite, especially when we're duplicating every 4th card to have cards that are 0 allow us to use those as our filler cards, our in-between cards, between 1 and 4, and between 5 and 8, allowing us to duplicate pretty much whatever card we want. I'm debating intensely here on this Dark Rites. In hindsight, it's always easier to see the plays, surely. So, but I do have an issue where sometimes the battle is over, and no matter what I do, I will win. But I still try to win the best, if that makes sense. Win the most effectively. And that ends up taking way more time than should honestly take. They do live here, which is very unfortunate because it means that they are going to live for another 2 turns because they switch forms. You see the block flute really saving us a lot of HP there. They switch over into their ethereal form, which they cannot die in. So even if I reduce their HP to 0 here, they still live. So I'm calculating in my mind how I can tank this damage and still deal enough to kill all of them. This might be one of the tougher turns. Yeah, I remember this first fight being a little problematic. A 4 activation, unstoppable strength. Deals most of the damage we need to secure. It actually does all of the damage we need, because as soon as we pass turn, yep, that's it. That's all the damage we needed. So now it's all about survival. How can we not get blasted by these 3 times 9 to 11s? Especially with no energy left. And the block flute has already been used. Free up some space. Now my plan here is to put out fodder to maybe soak up a hit. And I'm really just looking like trying to use the block flute again. Like I really don't want to take this damage. It does not end up being as bad as I think that, yep, the fodder does take 1 of the hits. Still chunks me pretty hard. All my damage dies. And I don't happen to draw a worm in this round. I can still get the kill as long as I turn into the Lich, which I think is immediately what I realize and go for. And this is something very important to note. Until level 10, it's hard to deal damage without an Abomination or a Worm. So that's why I would recommend starting Abomination or Worm, because you do need to be dealing damage all the time. The enemies scale pretty fast and pretty hard. Here we're given an offering. You do want about 4 or 5 sacrifice cards in your deck, I would say is max. Offering's a really good one, being able to permanently scale. And picking a new passive, we're going to promote our minions when we enter Lich form. The other decent option here is mass sacrifice. If 3 or more minions are sacrificed, you gain an energy. I do consider it a middle option. There's really no need to gain barrier when we're killing enemies in the first turn. It's decent on bosses, but not good enough to select. We want just more power. Field promotion, I think, honestly, mass sacrifice would have been better here in hindsight. When I transform into the Lich, there's only 1, maybe 2 living minions, and it does not promote ethereal minions. Ethereal minions cannot really be promoted in that way. So, run into the little ghost NPC. I really like his voice actor. Head through here. I think this is one of the first fights where our strength becomes incredibly apparent. And this is another reason why I say run high light. If you're trying to do something like this, we get a 200% damage and another 200% damage. Now we misplayed here, because what we should have done is, well, actually, no, maybe we didn't, but we could have doubled one of those. We could have absolutely doubled one of those, and I think we just kind of played them too quickly. You're looking to duplicate the damage amplification cards. Deadly Lust, any weird cards that make the enemies lose armor or make you gain damage percentage. Those are the kind of things you're trying to duplicate with that rune. Now I'm trying to play a filler card as my 3rd card. Now my 4th card here will be duplicated. So I'm like, sweet, I can go ahead and fill up my board here at the very least. Now I'm unsure why my summoning of them is dealing damage to the enemy. Honestly, if anybody in the comments can tell me why that's happening, I would love you, because that's very useful information to know. and I don't know why that's happening. So as you can see, the bad thing here is I can't sacrifice those abominations, but still, in round 1, we were able to knock down all of the enemies, and get down the worm to its final stages of life, and pretty much just pass turn here for the kill. We can power compression, of course, which will get us the kill anyway. Any combination of cards we play here, plus the Lich form that we have now, I mean, the fight is over. And this is turn 2, and we're still not level 10. Level 10 is when this combo takes a different shape, and the power of it increases significantly. Right now, what we're doing is impressive, but once we hit level 10, it's going to be full-on degenerate. Alright, let's see what the Sizable Knight has to offer us. I think we're just switching around our items, making sure we're not having useless items on our hotbar, which we have been having. No way we're going to use meat in the middle of a fight. Go ahead and give that meat to this dude. He gives us just a couple good consumables. Typically, I start off on the side away from the boss, so that you can clear as many chump fights and get as strong as you possibly can before the boss. But there will be times, even within this run, where we're strong enough to take the boss before fighting all of the other fights in the area. And now we are getting more used to having that rune, so we're really playing around it. I don't want to duplicate cleansing. I would like to play cleansing before that and try to duplicate a card that makes me activate my minions. I do think I realized that this early. Yeah. Maybe not. Next card I play is going to be duplicated, I think. Let's see. Yeah, I think I wasted the duplicate. Pretty sure I wasted the duplicate. No, this was the game that I really should be used to having the duplicate by now. Let's see. I should duplicate Deadly Lust. Ooh, yeah, no. Not playing as good as we could be. So, as you can see, this build is going to be very strong, even if you don't play it optimally. Because apparently I was not playing it optimally for a little bit there. But the damage is just massive damage. Kind of have to power compression there. I know that we're going to Lich form anyway. We've already had enough deaths. This is still turn 1. Hoping for duplication, power steal, suck away that huge damage number. Now you're doing 1, and then probably sentence someone's armor to the grave. Yep, that's what I would do currently, and that's what past me decided to do. Let's see if our team with all the damage amp can clean up. Almost. So close. If we would have been level 10, that would have ended. That fight would have ended right there. But they make it to turn 2. And those skeleton warriors are always pretty annoying because they come back to life when you kill them. So they drag fights on. And they always have quite a bit of armor too. Very resistant to damage. But I can Unstoppable Strength for 4 attacks and then Lich form. And that should overpower that huge armor number. Now, can anybody guess what I'm going to do? That's right, duplication power steal. Very, very good. And honestly, I wouldn't even doubt that there is a more effective thing to do, but this works so well with this build. I windmill slam this animated abomination here. Druid's Curse is good too. I do like Druid's Curse. Do I take Druid's Curse? Oh my gosh, I took Druid's Curse. What? Actually, no, I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. And I think that that choice ended up being correct looking into the rest of the run. And I think I knew that because having a higher level Abomination ultimately would have just allowed me to have it live for more turns, which is beneficial. Gives me a lot more damage over time. But the Druid's Curse reduces the enemy's armor by 50 and their damage by 50. Since I'm going to be tanking all hits from here on out, reducing their damage is very good. And reducing their armor is huge because I don't have any other armor reduction that potent just yet. So it's going to make my turn 1, the turn where I'm really trying to do as much damage as possible, even stronger. So we set this up here, we get the double. We're still not playing correctly. We still just are playing our cards and duplicating the wrong cards there. That is probably the card I would have duplicated this turn, or tried to reduce the enemy's armor by as much as possible. And we don't have a setup of damage here. I might power compress. I could see a world where we power compress here. Yeah, I think that's what we do. And then try to kill one of the Fae. Or maybe that's my initial instinct and I'm like, no, it's better to just start activating my minions and make them very strong. This is an interesting play here, interesting turn. Because I need to kill the middle guy. The middle guy needs to die. Yeah, I thought so. Gives me my full ultimate charge. Now I do need to get out some damage. So we get the golem out of the way. The golem ends up just being kind of in the way as the run goes on. And we did get our double abomination. Now we can't kill them with cards in our hand, but remember, when we switch into the Lich, we murder all of our living minions. So they're as good as dead. We're just thinking about if we want to spend our mana before we switch into Lich mode. You don't even have to. Lich keeps whatever leftover mana you have as you switch over. So sometimes it is better to have a bunch of mana carried over into the Lich form. But here, Duplication Power Steal is going to seal the deal, maybe. Let's see if we can get the kill in turn 1. Looking at the damage numbers here, I don't think it happens. Let's see. See if the damage surprises me. They might be targeting a different minion right now. Their number might be on a different minion. Yeah, no, they did not get it in round 1. But nothing is going to save him in turn 2. I'm still being silly about when to play that card. I'm just throwing it out immediately instead of trying to duplicate it. But with that hand, it looked like it was going to be kind of hard to duplicate. And we had the win anyway. So it's actually level 11 that we get our keystone, our first keystone. I thought it was level 10, but upon watching the replay, it looks like it's level 11. Something great to learn after your like 20th run. Always a good idea to watch these. Don't just play Deadly Lust. Learn. Just duplicate it. Just yelling at my past self. There we go. There we go. I didn't play it. That means I've learned. There we go. And as soon as I learned this and I duplicate the Deadly Lust, way more damage gets put out in earlier turns, and you're really going to be able to see us start to clear out fights on turn 1. Second card played for the turn. Third card played for the turn. Duplicate Deadly Lust. Boom. Plus 400% damage. So look how strong our abomination is already. Our Fae gets murdered there, and we actually don't pick up any summons, We do get the ghoul from the kill, but we don't pick up any summons. Forced to reduce our enemy's damage, and we're still playing around with the double. We're thinking about what card am I going to double here. We play that, so the next card is duplicated. Probably Magic Wind. No real reason not to. Yeah, we drew pretty bad there. That's why we need to remove way more cards from our deck. So we're still not at full power just yet. I think as well, I know for sure as soon as we win this fight, we level up and we get our keystone that makes us fully unfair. Yeah, discard for summons after I've already used too much energy. Not very smart. Just took a little bit too much damage there for my liking. But it should be over here. I can't foresee a way that we don't kill here. Get the dudes out. We actually can't lich because we can only gain 4 charges. No, we absolutely could lich. Yep, we could lich with the power compression. It would kill our super powered abomination, so we probably don't go that route. And we also have to think about duplication and what card we want that to happen to. Yeah, we end up not going the power compression route. I decide a couple more attacks with my strong abomination is better. And I put up the guard because I still can't kill. Dang. I think I even used that barrier item here. Yep. Sometimes, and I would honestly say, oh, I was an idiot. I power compressioned when they were all ethereal. I actually don't think that one minion should have died. I think that was a bug, but maybe I actually think that was not okay. And we're just trying to kill this one unit. This guy is a big problem for us. This guy on the right. Yeah, this fight we definitely struggled through way more than I remember. I have the blocks. I've already used that. And any damage the Lich takes does not transfer over to the Necromancer, which is really good. I don't draw any damage, which annoys me. Oh my gosh. This is... You guys are here for turn 1 kill. This is not turn 1 kill. It is all good though. I promise. It gets way stronger. We just gotta get out of this fight, get our level up, get our super unfair keystone, the one that I have picked every single time. I feel kind of bad for not experimenting, and some of the other ones could be sleeper, strong. But in my eyes, the ones that we end up picking is very good, especially for clearing through the game. And do we finally end it here? Yes, I think we end it with a very strong abomination slap. No, maybe that skeleton on the left still lives. Dang. True boss fight here. Yeah, that skeleton still hangs out. I'm going to have to rip his armor apart. Thankfully, I got a weird card to do just that. And if all else fails, I can murder my Fae, go into Lich, and reduce his armor there. But he is already dead, especially with the Druid's Curse. Big armor reduction. Yeah, I'm like, this is another time, like, if I just would have hit end turn, he would be dead. And if I just would have done Tongue of Fire, he would be dead. Nope. I have to do all of it. Okay, now let's talk about these 3 options. I take another Dark Rites, more 0-cost cards so that we can duplicate easier, and its activation. Real good. You get the left-hand path, Leech Form, and Path of Death. I snap-picked Path of Death. I wish I hadn't. but you can pause, read what the other ones do. Sorry, just live commentary back through the video. But essentially, Path of Death says when a minion or an enemy is killed or sacrificed, you get to attack all enemies for half of your damage. You get to do a 50% damage swing to all enemies. So I have that now. So every time that I sacrifice, so this is another one of those Reaper Lantern minions. This fight should theoretically be exactly as hard or harder than the last fight that I was in. But now I am at least twice as strong. So we will see if I can end this fight in turn 1. That's the attack right there. My minion died. You see me pick up my stick and thwomp, just smack them. Because our Deadly Lust that we are duplicating increases our own damage as well. So does the Lich. Increases our own damage. The attack trigger from this ends up being super good. Now, we drew a bad hand here. We didn't get multiple summons or anything crazy. We didn't get a very good opening hand here. But you will see the cascade of death that is this auto attack on enemy death. We drew all the summons we need this turn. Just trying to make the most use of our duplicate. There is a talent that is incredibly good for the Necromancer that says when you sacrifice your first minion, each turn, draw 3 cards. If you see that talent, pick it highly. As you see, I got an auto attack there from killing the Fae. Choose it over other talents consistently. It is very good. It's an extra 3 cards every single turn. Very, very powerful. So this is turn 2, and the auto attacks are proving to be very strong, chipping away at the enemy's life. We didn't get a great Lich here, but it should be good enough. We're in a new beginning to get more card draw next turn. And we should be able to close it out here. We killed an enemy, so we get auto attacks. You can see us start attacking. We got an auto attack for the orb and for the Lantern Reaper. I don't know. That isn't their proper name, but I duplicated Deadly Lust. So now my auto attack hits when I sacrifice or when enemies die is incredibly strong. And now I'm going to get 4 activations out of my Abomination. Now, normally these worms take many turns to kill, but we're going to kill all forms at once and then still have extra activations left. We don't want any of these. No, we don't want to be activating randomly. We want to activate specific minions. Pretty nice to get an Ethel there. Pause to Ethel's pretty good in the armor. Actually, it can be good in either. Most runes, both sides are pretty good in all honesty. Take a gamble on the tree. Now, this fight has given me some trouble in the past on some other classes, and it's pretty tough to deal with the treasure wisps specifically. Because they take 50 damage on their shield to harm. Any damage under 50 will be fully ignored. So you need to hit them very, very hard. Start off by killing our creature. There's our auto attack. We want to get our abominations out as soon as we can and try to duplicate Deadly Lust. We're going to play the Druid's Curse as our third card, make them very vulnerable. Double Deadly Lust, boost up our damage. And we're just hoping to get 1 or 2 kills so that we start auto-attacking. Let's see how many we can get. Pretty good damage. If we had some more sacrifice cards, we could have liched in turn 1 and definitely won the fight. We did really good damage for the first round. We don't care if our units get hit a little bit. We definitely should be able to win here as long as we can get enough sacrifices going. Yeah, looks like probably Resurrected Abomination power compression, just to make sure that we can turn into the Lich. And we would still have a card to duplicate. We get 3 attacks for those minions dying. Unfortunately, we weren't strong enough to get through, it seems. But we are full ultimate charge, ready to use the Lich and gain even more damage. Now, that didn't really get a lot of damage through, but what it did is it lowered their barrier. If you hit their barrier enough times, it drops. So that was the last straw, essentially, so they lost their protection. And now that they're vulnerable, they're dead. So we beat the Treasure Wisps on turn 2. That's pretty dang good. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. And we're just trying to do it super effectively right now, even though no matter what we do, they're dead. Yes, just play the energy wave and do the auto attacks. Smack, smack, smack. Hoping for a runestone slot. I think we get 1.
Well, when you
Nice. We do. I forget what we throw in here. Maybe some more base damage. Base damage is very good. Yes, 4 base damage. Increasing your base damage by 4 is so powerful when you have so much access to percentage-based scaling. When I'm increasing my base damage by 4 and then doubling a Deadly Lust, which gives me 400% damage, I am increasing that 4 by 400%. So I am increasing my damage much, much more by adding value to the root number and not just solely scaling off of percentage, if that makes sense. Let's see how we solve this one. So we have a Lantern Reaper being protected by one of these caustic rhino dudes. Our challenge will be to break through the redirection of the rhino and then kill the lantern guy as fast as possible. We have managed to engineer the double Deadly Lust now that we know about it. Took us a couple fights. We get these auto attacks in. Bam, bam, bam. Look how much damage the rhino took just from me swinging my little staff around. That keystone is so strong. We did double duplicate the Deadly Lust. Druid's Curse, reduce down their armor. Get a attack in for 60 some damage. We kill and then get a free hit because we killed. We also get to summon a ghoul for free. We killed 3 dudes, so we get to transform, duplicate power steal. Just look at this. This is what it is. With it finally, you know, the glimmer of our final form is upon us. This was turn 1. Getting through that redirection dude can be a whole challenge in itself, let alone killing the other dude in round 1. Now here, the game chose to torment me because I wanted every single one of these. Very rarely do I get faced with this tough of a choice. Energy return is phenomenal because we need to draw tons of cards. We need our deck to be consistent. 2 sides is very good because it gives us a huge head start. We would get an extra ethereal abomination off the bat. And Arch Abomination, I don't even need to explain why that's good. And because that damage directly scales off the Necromancer's damage, which will be huge, yeah, that makes our abominations hit really hard. I took this run all the way to the true final boss, which is a fight that the damage you deal is measured on a scoreboard. And as I stated in the first video, I scored in the double digits. I'm going to keep it a surprise where I landed until the final video. But if I would have gotten 2 or even all 3 of those passives during this run, I think I could have easily climbed another 20, 30 places. But I don't get offered any of those other ones again. We run across this bugged quest, and we choose to take the 3 common runestones. I think this allows us to fully upgrade an Ethel. Funnily enough, we're not even using the Ethel, but we decide to after this. That's going to make every single card we play boost our damage. And because we're focusing on 0 cost cards and duplicating cards, you can imagine that even on turn 1, it's not unlikely for us to play 8 to 10 cards. So that's a huge 150% damage boost. Yeah, we play that just to be the first card that we play to start off our count to 4. Offering will be our second card, and you see we draw 3 cards when we do our first sacrifice per turn. That's going to prove to be huge. Double Deadly Lust. Let's start getting out the rest of our units. And every time we sacrifice, we get auto attacks. Our units haven't even attacked yet. And the 2 side enemies are dead just from my auto attacks. I'm going to call them auto attacks, but they're the passive that allows me to do a 50% damage swing on all enemies when an enemy dies or when one of my units is sacrificed. So yeah, we end up being able to lich on turn 1 as well. And this fight with 2 skeletons, which are heavily armored and have 3 lives, ends in turn 1. The anticipation, the moment you all have been waiting for, the fabled promised turn 1 kill the enemies is online. And stick around because it only gets more absurd as we continue through and get to the 3rd area. Avoid sigils like the plague. Deathmark can be good, but it's very slow. I'm trying to be fast. Deep reserves, nope. Taking our rewards. When you run into the Piper, after you get the flute, he can change the flute for you. There is still one more enemy in this area, but I know I'm strong enough to take the boss. So, we do it. I did get Deadly Lust in the opening turn, so I'm just trying to cast 3 spells before I play it. And just watch out for me picking up my staff and bonking the enemy. Second spell. Third spell. These 0 cost spells proving to be really good. Get that double Deadly Lust going. I realized I should have Druid's Curse first before I did that, but like, well, it's still better to do it now. I spend a moment kicking myself. I really like to maximize damage, as you can tell with me just waiting certain turns and trying to figure out optimum damage, even though all the enemies are dead. Even if I just passed and did nothing, I'll still play out my entire hand. So that was turn 1. We're on turn 2 here. Getting up our ultimate charge rather quickly. Trying to play our free spells so that we can duplicate what we want. I think we're trying to duplicate Magic Wind. Did we duplicate Magic Wind? Let's see. Yes, we did. all of our minions activated twice. Look how much damage that did. Now we switch over to the Necromancer. Guess what? What would you guess we would be about to do right now? I'll give you one guess. Oh, if it wasn't duplicate power steal, you have not been paying attention. We eerie gaze him, crush his armor. Bam. 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 He's down to almost half. That was turn 2. Here comes turn 3. We still haven't used our blocks from our flute, which could easily handle the attack he's trying to throw out now. If he lives, unstoppable strength is very bad for him. That's a lot of damage. Let's see if we can duplicate it. That's what we're looking for. Yep, he's doing the most damage, so he's the one that we keep activating. Continuously activate the Abomination as the highest fist number. The one's doing the most damage. There's only certain reasons why you would want to activate a different one, but we get to duplicate a 4 attack unstoppable strength. Watch this. Bam. His damage just keeps getting higher every single time. Turn 3. Please like the video if you found this helpful or entertaining, and join me in part 3 where we dominate the third area. See you there.